Do you have chemistry with your kids? My name is Grace Bukachi. You're watching CITAM Church Online. Let's have a discussion. I have the joy and the privilege of having daughters who are my buddies. And it all began when an older woman, when they were much younger, asked me how I was parenting. And I was using the design I had seen with my parents. Then she said, make them your friends. And I was amazed at that statement, and I didn't know exactly what she meant. So here we go. I chose that my girls were going to be my friends. And I don't just have biological children. God has allowed me to adopt others. So I have a son and an extra daughter who are much older than my children. And it's amazing how, when you sit down to discuss with them, when they're tiny, when you're going places, especially when they're 1 to 3, 0 to 3, and you sing songs with them, because I love to sing, and then you just are real with them. This is place X, this is where, and you think they're little and they don't understand. They understand, and they are watching you, every little detail. And so, as I cooked in the kitchen, I would have them on stools, helping me cook or setting the table. And I said, clean up after we eat and everything. And they did. But the trick came post 3 years and above. And they ask you questions. And I'll never forget when my eldest daughter asked me at age 6, where do kids come from? And I toyed around with the idea of telling her, the story that people say that they get them from hospital? And I said, this is my God moment, my opportunity. At 6, she was bright, she was able to know. So I said, you know what happens? And I gave her a brief version of the biological process of how kids come. And she says, now she's much older, she's in her early 20s. She says, Mom, I could never ask again because you told me the truth. I was like, okay. And when her younger sisters now got to the place of asking, for me, it was not a matter of coloring it and whatever they needed to know, I would tell them. Yes, with shaking limbs, but confidently, knowing that I was developing a relationship of trust here. I remember when they were little. Now, this is how we built it up as well. They would ask, every bedtime, they would like a bedtime story. So, even though this is a discussion, let me give you a version, because I know there's a mommy out there watching me, and you've been wondering, how do I tell these stories? And for me, the youngest especially loved the Moses story. Guess what? This is how it began. So once upon a time, in the land of the Bible, there was a mommy called Jochebed, whatever you choose to call it, just say Jochebed or Jochebed, okay? And the daddy was called Amram, because there's got to be a daddy and a mommy. And sometimes in some scenarios, there's no daddy, so just say there was a mommy called Jochebed. And Moses had a big brother called Aaron, because some of you mummies out there have kids with big sisters and big brothers. So there was Aaron and Miriam. And the time that Moses was born, there was a bad king who decided all the kids have to be killed. So what did Jochebed do? Mama Aaron decided she's going to nurse little Moses. And you see, little Moses was tiny and little bundle of joy. And so he would take nyonyo and he'd suck, and he's just taking all the nyonyo. At this point, mamas, if you're really dramatic, the little ones will sleep. The older ones, they will stay alert. They're waiting to hear the story. Now, I had also watched, what's that movie with something, Prince of Egypt? Yes. But you see, I have to Africanize it for them. And so I would go on with the story and how Moses was put in this basket by his mommy, and then Moses began cooing. And every last one of you mummies know what it's like when they start cooing. And so she had to put him in this basket because God gave her a God idea. She put him in the ocean, in the river Nile, not ocean. And then the river Nile, the basket just flowed. And there was a big crocodile, clap, and missed the basket. And the kids would stare and stuka. And at that point, you're trying to put them to sleep, so don't make the clap too loud, okay? So then she would flow, and finally the basket stopped. Guess where? At Pharaoh's palace. And you leave some suspense and say, good night, kids. Story's over. I'll continue tomorrow. And my big daughter would say, no, mommy, I want to hear the ending right now. I'd say, it's time to sleep. And so guess what? You build relationship by just being real with them. And there's always a moral to the story, because in Moses' case, God took care of him when he would have been killed, and God gave his mother Jochebed lots of wisdom on how to take care of him. And so, mamas, are you struggling with parenting that little one and wondering what to do, and they're crying? There's going to be sometimes you've got to let them cry, but start off with a lovely Bible story. All the other stories are great. However, capitalize on the amazing Bible stories you have. Now, if you have a little boy, guess what? There's lots of other stories you could tell that are action-packed, like Joshua, and they're going around the city of Jericho, and they've got, and they're marching, and they've got trumpets, and they're blowing them. And your little boy is looking at you, and he doesn't look like he wants to sleep. Find a nice way of finishing that story so that they can go to sleep. And because you've begun those Bible stories when they're little, even when you begin to talk matters discipline and saying no to this and raising standards and saying no here, they will listen to you. Well, I hope that helps you. I'm a pastor at CITAM Woodley, and we have 2 services. The first one is at 8:30, and the second one begins at 11. And I would love for you to come. I'll serve there as a family pastor, and it will be a great joy to welcome you. God bless you. See you next time when we talk things parenting. Bye-bye.